Right, can I now introduce you to Sophie, who I got to know very well on the journey back, and whereas with Harry, he didn't like the air horn, Sophie had a bit of an aversion to water in the week, which I'm sure will come through in what she's going to tell you about. But she was, although she was tired, she spent the whole journey telling me everything that had been happening. So well done, Soph. Off you go.
Yeah, so Rotary Youth Leadership Award. I mean, before I start, I just want to say it was definitely an experience. It wasn't anything that I imagined it would be. You know, they say you're going on a leadership course, I think, oh, I'm going to sit in a room, I might go outside and, you know, do some things in some grass. But I didn't think I'd be sleeping on the floor with the frogs. Yeah, we put a ground sheet down for the bivvy and there was a tiny little frog. So that was with us the entire night. It was great. But yeah.
Let's move on.
So you can just press it through.
Yeah.
So today I'll be talking about what I learned on the course.
Oh, do you want me to keep going?
Yeah.
Keep going.
Right.
That's it. How these skills will benefit my future, because a leadership course will really benefit me in my line of work. And just some highlights of the course. I've got some pictures at the end because she'll laugh. So, during the course you do have to have resilience. Obviously, like I said, you have to sleep in a bivvy on the floor. I was in a little bit of denial. I was genuinely sat in the bivvy that night saying, no, they're going to come get us and we're going to go inside. And they didn't. But it was fine because we all started singing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. It was an experience sleeping in a bivvy, but it was really good, and it actually, you know, I was complaining about it the entire day because everyone would be saying, oh, on bivvy night you'll be doing this. It's like, what? I don't think I will be doing that. But, you know, I thought it would be cold, I thought it would be boring, and it was wet, and it was cold. It wasn't boring. Yeah. So I chat a lot. People might have noticed. Really. But that's usually because I'm quite nervous. I don't like silences, I like to fill the gap. So I think I did that from the start with my group. We had a lot of quiet people in my group, and I sort of just started having a bit of a rant about things, and I started asking people if they like goats. I think goats are awesome. But, you know, it sort of seemed to allow me to build a bit of resilience towards sort of, you know, talking to people, because I didn't know any of these people. I don't usually like talking to new people, so this is rather nerve-wracking. But yeah, I do tend to chat quite a lot with the nerves, but to be honest, about halfway through the first day I was fine. I didn't care, because I thought, you know, if I make an absolute idiot of myself, I don't have to see these people again.
Here we are.
Yeah, I mean, so with the next point, I've been away from home a few times. I've been on school trips, but again, with people that I know, with teachers that I know, you know, with friends, with family. I've never been in a situation where it's been just me, on my own, not at home. You know, I like my home comforts. I like sitting on my sofa at night, you know, watching TV with hot chocolate or something. So the fact that you were, you know, put in a room with just so many people, it just you had to keep saying, keep going, keep like thinking positive. Otherwise, you wouldn't have got through the week. You couldn't have made it. I tend to have, I get bored doing things quite quickly. So long tasks, you know, that require a lot of concentration, and they're difficult. So it can actually put you off finishing the task. You know, if you do something wrong, it demotivates you. But the fact that, you know, you couldn't just walk away from it if you're halfway through, like, putting up the traverse or, like, in the middle of a pond, you can't really say, oh, I'm going to stop now. You kind of have to get back to the shore. But yeah, that taught me just to have resilience in finishing tasks. one to sort of give up when it gets a little bit hard. Again, long days. I like sleep. So the fact that I had to keep going, I had to keep up to people's schedules, it just, you have to do it, don't you? But it actually taught me that I enjoy it. I like having a full day and a full life rather than just sitting and doing nothing. And not having my phone. I, like many people my age, do enjoy my phone. I like being able to text people when I want, Google anything that I want, because you might be sat having a conversation, it's like, well, nobody knows the answer to that. You just bring it up on Google and you can continue the conversation. But if you can't bring it up, how do you continue the conversation? You've got to think of a new one. But yes, not having my phone really, it was a massive thing for me. But to be honest, by the second day I'd completely forgot it existed. Kept losing it on a night. I was like, oh gosh, make sure it stays in the right place. So another thing I learned, obviously teamwork and communication, because that's what you're doing the entire week. You work with people you've never met before, which is difficult because you don't know how these people are going to react. So I walk into a situation and, there was a lad called Tom. He's got a lot of hair. You don't know whether to make jokes about it and try and, converse with him that way, or if he's a bit sensitive to it. So you need to gauge people, and that's quite difficult, reading what they're going to think of who they are as a person. So then when it comes to working in a team, you don't know if you actually can have that banter that makes it easier to keep going. But my team were absolutely amazing. I don't think I had the best team. I was so lucky. And again, in large groups, on the first day we did a task, and it was the entire of us, like 33 people. I don't know how we organised it. It was a lot of shouting. But I don't really do well in large groups of people. I can talk in a small group, but large groups I tend to hide away a little bit. I stick to a certain group of people. But you had to work with everyone, because the entire task, even though there was 33 people, by the end of it, with people holding up both sides of the A-frame for us to cross the bridge in the middle, every single person was involved in that. No one was stood off to the side not doing anything. Everyone was involved, so you had to work in a large group. Again, trusting these people with my safety. You've never met these people before, and on my first day I had traverse, so we had to make a zip line and just trust people to let you down it safely and gently, which I was not. I was just sent flying. But yeah, and then I had to trust myself with their safety. That takes a lot. I want to do policing when I'm older, so I have to trust that I can look after other people and keep them safe, because if I don't, someone could get really hurt. So I have to have confidence in myself, because if I falter, if I sort of hesitate, things could go wrong. I could doubt myself for too long, and someone could have got hurt. And constructive criticism. I'm not usually one who likes to listen to someone criticising me. I take it quite personally, but it didn't feel that way at all during the week. Everyone was sort of saying, you did this absolutely amazingly, but maybe do this, and it only felt like it was going to benefit me and them, so it didn't feel like an attack, which I think it was structured in such a way that it was absolutely amazing. And supporting those who needed it. So, like I say, my group was quite a quiet group at the start, not at the end. But there were a few people in there who weren't necessarily opening up quite as quickly as everyone else, or some other people were. And I felt like it was kind of my job to help them. Even if it's just to bring them into a conversation within the group, you want to include them, because they're there for the same reason as you, and you don't want them to be scared the entire time and get nothing out of it. Just because I'm rather chatty around people, I'm still nervous, even if, so if they're nervous in a different way. And asking for help. I don't usually do that. I usually end up breaking my back, carrying something up the stairs. But yeah, you couldn't do anything on your own at this course. You couldn't. Any of the activities, with it being traverse, graph building, they were all teamwork activities. You can't do these things on your own, you need a group of people. But you also don't know how to do all of it on your own. So even in a group, if you're leading it, you might not know what to do. So you need to ask for help to actually get through it and make sure you're doing it right. So like Harry was saying, communication, absolutely vital. You know, if you were on the traverse and you weren't quite hooked in yet, and someone says, oh, off you go, and kind of boots you down the slope, that's it, you might just fall over the edge. So you need to actually communicate properly and effectively as well. You know, not taking absolutely ages to deliver one small message, which I tend not to do. I tend to waffle a little bit. I waffle. Delegating to people. Like I say, I don't ask for help, I do things on my own. So when it came to being the leader, because I was the leader on my first day, it was quite difficult to say, oh, you do that, and you do that, and I'll do this, because my organisational skills aren't the best. So when you're trying to put people in the right place at the right time, and make sure that they're also doing the job that they want to do and can do, it's very difficult. But I feel like the course taught me, you know, how to find those qualities in other people, not just myself. So you're reading people, you're not just reading yourself and thinking what's best for me. You're thinking, you know, how might they want to do the activity, what are they comfortable with doing, what would they enjoy doing as well, because if you've got everyone doing a job that they don't want to do, they're not going to do it well, they're not going to have fun, and they're not going to get anything from it. Yeah, utilising your resources efficiently. So we had 9 people in our group actually. So when we did mountain rescue, you have 8 people on the stretcher. So basically, we were actually able to swap people out constantly, so we could always have someone on a break. It meant we had more resources than the other groups, but that made it a lot easier for us, rather than just a pain of having to organise it. And admitting to mistakes, which usually meant kangaroo dips. Basically, on the first activity, when I was the leader, we'd miscounted the number of lashes that we would need for certain tripods and everything. And we kind of got up to the top, and that's like the point of no return, and it's like, oh, we can't actually finish this activity. But instead of saying, you know, oh, it was this person or that person or them, or, you know, you do have to admit that you're the leader, it was your fault ultimately, even if, you know, you'd had that conversation in the group, you should have double checked it, which again, I am not the best at doing. It's admitting that you're wrong and everything, it's not the easiest for me. So like I say, I want to go into policing. Communication in the police is key, you know, you need to arrest the right suspect, not some random guy on the street. Long shifts, days at RYLA were very long. I feel like I was falling asleep by dinner time. Honestly, it was absolutely shattering. But it taught me that I enjoy the long days, and actually to appreciate people who do work for things like, you know, the NHS and the police, because they do absolutely massive shifts, and they can't just stop. You know, if a surgeon's halfway through heart surgery, you can't just say, oh no, I'm off now. you can't. They have to keep going. Like I say, communicating with strangers. I don't really bring myself across very well sometimes. It's quite difficult for me to find the words sometimes. So then when you find strangers who don't understand you as well, they don't know you as a person, so they might not know that you might not be able to always find the words, so you end up baffling and waffling and everything, you go off on a tangent. It's difficult, but I had to learn how to communicate effectively with these people. So you go in on the first day and you say, look, I might not be the best with my words, but, you know, just give me a minute, I'll find them. Yeah, like I say with the lashings, triple check everything, because that happened multiple times in each activity. We forgot something, we miscalculated it or something, and there was usually something that went wrong. But I think one of the best things with this was, you know, we didn't blame each other for it. Whereas I heard a lot of people at the start of the week saying, oh, it was you, it was you. By the end of it, they were always, you know, it was, oh, well, we did this as a group, it happened, move on, try to fix it. It's not dwelling on the past, it's looking to the future. And confidence in myself, because I generally didn't have a lot of that. I prefer to stay, you know, more introverted, but also just trusting that what I'm doing is right, because a lot of the time I mix up my numbers or my words, so I don't actually have that confidence that I am actually getting it right. So I then doubt myself, and then I start talking, you know, saying, oh, but if it's wrong, it's wrong. And it just sort of, it doesn't make me look like a confident leader. It doesn't let people put their trust in me. It just kind of, you know, so the RYLA kind of taught me to have confidence in myself. And if it's wrong, you then admit to your mistakes. And I have a few pictures of highlights that I can explain because some of them are probably weird. This was our bivvy. It wasn't as posh as Harry's. We didn't have a roof. Nor sleep mats.
We had the frogs.
We had the frogs. At the top, you actually see, this isn't a picture from the RYLA, this is a picture of a few of us who met up just the other week. Because Tom here with a lot of hair, actually, he's in a band, so he was at a concert and we went to go see him. So, I mean, the relationships that I've made from the RYLA, it's absolutely amazing. I said before I went into the week that, you know, if I come out with one friend, you know, someone who I stay in touch with, that'll be nice. But I wasn't really expecting it. But honestly, we've got a group chat. It doesn't stop every day. It's all the time. So the people that I have met and the connections that I can now keep will benefit my future. This is my one claim to fame. These lashings here, I did those. Japanese square lashings. That was like the one thing, technical skill I learned that week, and I was very good at it. See, I have confidence in myself. This was us again, me and Denial on Bivvy night. I was stood there saying, we're going back in. We didn't. Stretcher bearing, where we had to stretch out because no one could feel their hands anymore. This one, what can I say? I got sent through a rat tunnel in the walls, which is great. And then they sort of say you've got to flip upside down, which that's great. I'm claustrophobic. But yeah, it was an absolutely amazing week, and it was full of shenanigans because, as you can see up here, Ken in a dress.
And the wig, don't forget the wig.
And the wig. But the people I met and the connections I made, it's priceless. It was an absolutely amazing week, and it feels like a dream, to be honest. It doesn't feel like I actually went there, because you go there for a week, your life is completely flipped upside down, topsy-turvy, all over the place, and then you go home and that's it. It's kind of gone. But, it's a distant haze, because I was so tired that week, I don't remember it. But yeah. And then I just wanted to say thank you for everyone at RYLA for sponsoring me, running the course, and even to the Wave Riders who obviously aren't here tonight for running the activities. It was an amazing experience.